Understanding anger. We spoke about this theme throughout the class in several different points, but now in the context of the month of Tevet, the Sefer Yetzirah tells us about this month, the secrets of this month. Himlichot ayin, Hashem crowned the letter ayin from the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the roges, with this aspect of roges. Roges is usually translated as anger, but it's not really anger. Roges is an awakening of, I got to do something about the situation, the self-agency. It's an awakening of decision to move out of the situation, to do something about the situation. It's the opposite of lethargy. It's moving into a place of, it could be called courageousness. It leads to courageousness. It's a state of power, inner power. That's what the Voges is, experiencing your inner power when it's actualized. And Hashem gave it a crown and gave it the astronomical sign of the goat, the Gedi, in the world, and the month of Tevet in the year. And so within the body, it represents the liver. And this is why the liver also represents the ability, the potential for anger. Kaved koes in Kabbalah, according to the Zohar. That's why the Zohar tells us that a person who gets angry on Shabbat is transgressing the mitzvah of not turning on a fire on Shabbat. Because anger is like a fire. And it says in the Torah, it says, Lo teva'aru ish b'chol moshvotechem. Do not kindle a fire in all your dwelling places, where you live, on Shabbat. So says the Zohar, do not kindle a fire within yourself. Do not get angry, especially on Shabbat. Because Shabbat is the complete opposite of that. Shabbat represents shalom, represents the peace. The liver represents the blood. It represents the redness of Esav, the fire, the red, impatience. When that inner power turns into anger and frustration about anything that doesn't match my ideal, that's fire. That's red. That's the nefesh also, the desires. I want it this way. It has to be this way, or else. Now, this world, if you remember, when we spoke about Yaakov and Esav, this world was going to go, the blessings of this world was going to go to Esav. And Yaakov merited the blessings so that we can also experience the blessings of this world, so that we can also not only experience the blessings of this world so that we can experience the blessings of the next world, but much more. And if you understand it that way, so then you understand that all of wealth and abundance and all the blessings of this world come to a person who has overcome their personal Esav. Come to a person who has sweetened the judgment energy of the liver, of the angry liver. It comes to a person who has released and let go of the over-insistence of their desires being fulfilled, their needs being fulfilled right now, the desires of the nefesh. And that's why, as Rabbi Nachman explained, and we mentioned earlier, a person unlocks tremendous financial wealth by rectifying this aspect of kas. Do not get angry. If you feel that inner power boiling up, then sweeten it, dissolve it, and use it in a constructive way. Use it to take action in a constructive way. Use it to create peace in a constructive way. That's how you build wealth. That's the patience that turns that inner power into building tremendous financial abundance, building that wall. Now, one of the ways that you can do that is very simply by releasing your wanting security. You can have security, but when you're wanting safety and security, that leads to anger and frustration to the extent that you're wanting it. When you let go of the wanting it and you allow yourself to feel the safety and security that's already here, then you are surrounding yourself with a holy wall of divine security. And that materializes and manifests as wealth and abundance. Holy wealth, Ashiyot Kedusha. So pay attention to the distinction between the roges, the word roges, that inner power that awakens, actual anger. The words in the Sefer Yetzirah about the month of Tevet does not say the word ka'as, anger. It says roges. The word roges is also used in another context in a positive way. There's a pasuk that says, "Erigzu ve'al techtau, imru bilvavchem al mishkavchem ve'domu sela." And the Gemara gives us a drasha. The Gemara explains what this verse means. Tells us, "Le'olam yergiz adam yetzer hatov al yetzer hara." A person should empower the good persona within them over the negative one. And if a person tried to do that and they weren't successful, so study Torah, says the Gemara. When you study Torah, divine wisdom, you're giving power to the good side of your character, the good side, the right side of your heart. You're giving it power to overcome the negativity, to overcome the limitations, to overcome the self-sabotage. Says the Gemara, if studying Torah was not enough, then read the Shema. When you read the Shema, you get back to that place of recognizing the oneness. You're moving out of that space of separateness, of the analytical mind. Vedomu sela, That's the end of that verse. So the Gemara, if you read the Shema and that you still need more power to overcome the self-sabotage, to overcome that narrative of being a failure, of making the wrong choices, then remind it, says the Gemara, remind it, yazkir lo yom hamita. Remind yourself of the day of death. What does that mean? What that means is, and this is what we spoke about earlier, when you close your eyes and you close your nose and you close your mouth and you close your ears and you completely let go of all of the perceptions coming in from the senses in this physical world, because all that's left when a person dies is the consciousness, and go into that inner space that's beyond all the senses. And in that place, there's a sweetening of all the judgment energy. Everything is healed spontaneously. So the word at the beginning of that verse is rigzu, v'atechtau. You can experience a rogez, but it doesn't have to be in a way of sin. V'atechtau. Doesn't have to be in a way, the anger of sin. And in this way, you sweeten and you heal the liver, and you rectify yourself from the personal asap. And in this way, you empower yourself to have tremendous financial wealth and tremendous blessings in this physical world. There's also a verse here in the Pasuk when Yaakov is blessing his sons Shimon and Levi. Shimon and Levi had this element of anger. And Yaakov says, Bighalam al tichad kivodi. In their coming together and their congregation, do not include my honor. The word is kivodi, my honor. The word for honor, kavod, respect, dignity, in Hebrew almost sounds like the word for liver, kaved. The only difference is it has the letter vav in it. So because that's what happens when you rectify the liver and you don't get into a place of anger and frustration, and instead you sweeten it before it can become anger and frustration, you dissolve it and you release it, then you merit the tremendous wealth of kavod, dignity, respect, power, value, honor, reverence. And Yaakov says, because they got angry, don't include my kavod, my honor, with them. And when he said that, he was referring to Korach, the conflict of Korach, the argument of Korach, the conflict against Moshe, which comes from jealousy and hatred, anger and frustration, jealousy and hatred. All of this is connected and all this is coming together now. Instead of that, what we want to do is, as the Gemara tells us, Dom la Hashem v'yitcholel lo. Be silent in connection to Hashem when you're turning to Hashem. When there's an argument, when there's a difficulty, when there's a conflict in your life, be silent. What does that mean, be silent? Does it mean to suppress what you're feeling? No. It means to dissolve it and release it and get to an inner space of silence instead of getting entangled in the conflict in your head, in your mind, or actually on the outward as well. So what happens when you're silent? What's that word for being silent? Dom. It's like the word dam, the same letters as the word dam, which means blood, which is this aspect of the liver. When you are silent, when you move into that place of inner peace and inner silence, like we said, closing your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, and moving into that blackness that's beyond all the senses, where you find that infinite peace, then you're adding the vav to the kaved. You're adding the vav to the liver, and it becomes kavod. It becomes honor, glory, respect, greatness, and financial abundance that comes with that. And so Rabbi Nachman has a whole Torah about this. I don't have the time to go into it now, but in Torah 181, maybe we'll get to it another time, he explains that every soul has an aspect of kavod. The soul, the nefesh of a person, is sourced. Where does it come from? It says that Hashem takes our souls from beneath the throne of glory, the kisei kavod. So the source of our soul is kavod. And that's why Rabbi Nachman says that we have this embedded within this nature that when somebody is very, very wealthy, we are attracted to them because our soul seeks its source. And the source of our soul is glory, is wealth, greatness, whichever way we see it. Because our souls come from the throne of glory in a spiritual way. But what is led from that, what comes from that, is that we are therefore attracted to wealth. And it's a good thing when you know how to use it in a good way. Now, Rabbi Nachman says that every soul has a spark of this kavod, of this divine glory within it. And when it's a really, really big soul, a really great soul, a very powerful soul, then that aspect of divine glory within it is much greater. Now, when a person has power, when a person is empowered, it's to the extent of that spark of glory of kavod within them, that they have kavod, that people honor them, that people respect them. If a person wants to increase their kavod, then study Torah. The Gemara tells us about the Torah, Bi melachim yimlochu. It's through me, through the Torah, that kings will rule, because that's the source of our soul. Obviously not when you study Torah in order to get respect. That's a whole different set of issues. But when you study Torah with the right intentions. Now, when there is an argument among people, when there is a conflict among people, the person who will win is the person who at this moment has the greatest power of kavod within them. What do you do if there's a conflict? We're speaking about Moshe Rabbeinu. What do you do about the conflict of Korach and all of the people that came together with Korach and they were arguing against Moshe? Moshe is one person against a whole bunch of people. Rabbi Nachman says there's a great danger when many people get together because the collective power of all of these different sparks of kavod, of honor, coming together against one person is so that then they have 1 spark, 2 sparks, 3 sparks, 10 sparks, 100 sparks coming together of that kavod energy. It can overwhelm the kavod energy of one person. And they might even win the conflict, the argument, just because they've come together. However, Yaakov says that in that argument of Korach, my kavod should not enter that equation. It should not be included in that congregation of Korach. Because if it was, God forbid, included with them, who knows, they might have been able to overpower the kavod of Moshe. And Rabbi Nachman says that, therefore, we have to understand from this the power of holy collaborations. When you find a community, a congregation of good, kind people that have good intentions, and then collaborate with them, come together with them. Don't just sit there and say, it's enough for me to know them, but see how you can come together with them, empower them, help them out, and be helped by them. Support each other, because the power of all of us coming together is infinitely greater than any one person out there. And if we come, for example, if we come together, Lev and Muna as a community, and we collaborate with each other, and we empower each other, and we see how we can help each other out in every way, then we will be much more powerful than anything that is out there in the world. We will be able to influence the world in infinitely greater ways. Positive influence that reaches all the ends of the world. Every corner of the earth can be inspired by this light when we come together, when we collaborate. The power of holy collaborations. And all of this is the tikkun of kavod, which is the tikkun, the rectification of the liver. So it's not turning into anger, but it's turning into a wall of power, of safety, of security, of holy wealth and holy abundance, which is basically the kavod of Hashem, kevod malchuto. This is the kingship of Hashem.